This makes the Avs unstoppable. As through 7 games played, even though Colorado has had a few games that haven't quite gone the way that they wanted them to, the team is displaying immense depth up and down their roster in all facets of the team. And this shows promise for what the team's going to be capable of throughout the remainder of the regular season and going all the way into the Stanley Cup playoffs come April, considering the fact that the team is doing very well from an offensive standpoint and from a depth standpoint. And we're going to break all of this down and talk all things scoring depth and just overall strength of the team today on Avalanche Digest, as the Colorado Avalanche still sit atop of the Western Conference, the Central Division, and the NHL with 12 points and 5 wins. No regulation losses so far in the season, although they've had 2 overtime losses, both of them in pretty tough fashion. A lot of promise around this team and a lot of excitement looking forward. Mark Robinson with you on Avs Digest as usual. Before we dive into the video, I want to remind you guys to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel here on YouTube. If you're part of that 73% of viewers that are watching our videos every single day and aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you change that right now. Join the best possible source for quick, digestible Colorado Avalanche news and updates on a daily basis. We're giving you all the info that you need on the Avs, and we want you to make sure that you're locked and loaded and subscribed to the channel. For those that are subscribed, as usual, we appreciate your support. Okay, so last night, tough game for the Colorado Avalanche after a very hard-fought 60 minutes of hockey, a really awesome comeback to tie the game late. They fell to the Utah Mammoth in overtime. I got to hand it to the Mammoth. They look great. After their first game of the season, which was against the Avs, they held us to only 2 goals. It was a very strong performance for Scott Wedgwood, who only allowed 1 goal for them. They're a wagon at home right now, and it showed last night. They played a dominant 60 minutes of hockey. They have a lot of depth as well. But nevertheless, I want to talk about the depth scoring and just the continued promise in this lineup that we saw specifically last night against the Utah Mammoth. We're first going to take a look at this Marty Necas goal to tie it late in the game. He wraps around the far side, snipes one right past the left shoulder of the Utah Mammoth goalie. Talk about a clutch time goal. And from guess who? The leader in points on the Colorado Avalanche, Marty Necas. He has been buzzing right now. And I know obviously it was a late one, but Marty Necas doing incredible things late in the game. Down by 1 goal. You can literally see, I'm actually going to play this highlight one more time. If you look at the top left of the corner, you can literally see them show Scott Wedgwood come out to give them the man advantage. He doesn't even get to the wall. He doesn't even get to the boards before Marty Necas snipes a beautiful goal right through the likes of the Mammoth goalie. It was an unreal equalizer. It obviously didn't end in favor of the Avs as they had a terrible giveaway in overtime, which led to a 2-on-1 odd man rush for the Mammoth. They scored a pretty sweet goal at home. And like I said, they're a wagon right now, especially at home. They haven't lost at home yet. They're 4-0 at home so far through. I think they also have 7 games played as it stands right now. But despite the fact that the Avs weren't able to pull the win out, the Marty Necas goal gave us that extra point. It solidified the fact that we were able to get at least 1 point on the night for the away game. And that goal, along with everything else on the score sheet for the Avs last night, just continues to show the immense amount of depth that we have from top to bottom with this team. So just want to take a look at the scoring breakdown throughout the game last night, specifically, for the Avalanche. Look at that first goal. Cale Makar, best defenseman in the league, obviously. Up from near the blue line, creeping toward the slot, had a nice shot off the assist from some guys on the 3rd and 4th line. Just the 4th line. Parker Kelly and Zakhar Bardakov. Bardakov gets his first official point in the league, considering the fact that he's filling the spot for Joel Kiviranta, who is currently out with an injury. But it's only his 2nd game in the National Hockey League, and he gets the secondary assist on the Cale Makar goal. So depth scoring in that specific goal, as you've got our top defensive pairing getting the goal with our 4th forward line helping him find the scoring opportunity. And then we bounce down to the 3rd period. Almost right out the gate in that 3rd period, Jack Drury scored a beautiful goal off the assist from Ross Colton. So the 3rd line is getting some opportunities and getting some chances. And then with just about 2 minutes to go, the top line, Marty Necas, unassisted, walks up the far side and scores an unreal goal for the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, the ESPN broadcasters couldn't even believe what they saw. And not just a good goal, but the moment of the goal and the context of the goal. Down by 1, you need to tie the game to push the overtime just to even get the point, let alone try to win the game, which obviously the Avs weren't able to do in the long run. But our top line winger, Marty Necas, who, by the way, needs to get a freaking contract right now, but we're not going to touch on that too much today. We all know that that's the case. But one of our top line wingers scoring a beautiful goal. And this game alone, on top of everything else that the Avs have accomplished so far this season, a lot of depth is being shown by each and every one of these lines, and each line looks pretty solid. And with that in mind, we just talked about how the fourth line found some scoring opportunities and points, the first line as well as the third line. We got the second line, Brock Nelson, Gabe Landeskog, and Val Nichushkin. They scored a goal as well. Gabe Landeskog scored in the game off a beautiful feed from Val Nichushkin. Unfortunately, the play was offsides by just a few inches, maybe not even a full 2 inches. It was a very, very close call. But nevertheless, even though the play was offsides by just a tiny bit, just seeing the fact that the line could produce a goal, even though it was just barely offsides, that shows a lot of promise as well. Gabe Landeskog almost had his first goal of the 2025-26 NHL season, and it was off the feed from one of his second line mates, Val Nichushkin. Obviously, it wasn't a good goal. Unfortunate that it was called offsides, but it's worth noting that even though the goal was called offsides, they were able to generate a scoring opportunity. And in a way, you can say that all 4 of our lines produced a scoring opportunity in this game. Just one of them, obviously, offsides by an inch or 2. It was a very close call. You guys can let us know in the comments what you thought of that offsides call as well. All right, so just with that in mind, quick little breakdown of these lines and all of the depth and all of the scoring that we're seeing. Top line, we've obviously got Leckie, MacKinnon, and Necas, and then it's Landy, Nelson, and Nichushkin on the second line for the top 6. Ross Colton on the left, Jack Drury in the middle, and Victor Olofsson on the right. And then Parker Kelly, Zakar Bardakov, and Gavin Brindley for the bottom line. Bardakov obviously taking the place of Joel Kiviranta as he is still in the middle of dealing with an injury. Gavin Brindley looking pretty solid as he's been playing consistently within the lineup, not bouncing back and forth between the NHL and the AHL yet, which is something that he's not quite used to. He's getting more and more experience playing on that bottom line, and as a young prospect who's hoping to excel and continue to be in sort of a prove it to the league standpoint, things are looking very strong for him. And then just going to go down the line here and talk about depth scoring as far as points that guys have so far. I mean, you look at the top, the first 4 guys are it is our top line and our top defensemen. You've got Marty Necas with 11 points, Nathan MacKinnon with 10 points, Cale Makar with 8 points, and Arturi Lehkonen with 7 points. And then here's where you really start to see the depth show in how much points the Avs are racking up and down their lineup. You've got Brent Burns, one of the veteran defensemen that we signed throughout the offseason. He's got 4 points. You got Val Nichushkin, who's got 3. Sam Malinsky, another guy who's on that bottom D pairing. He's got 3 points. And then Victor Olofsson, a third line guy with 3 points. And then a bunch of guys all across the lineup with a few points on the season as well. Obviously, with these guys, you want to see the numbers going up a little bit, but you've got Landy with 2 points, Jack Drury with 2 points, Ross the Boss, Josh Manson, Brock Nelson, all guys that are starting to find their groove and find the score sheet. Obviously, like I said, it needs to pick up a little bit, but we're really starting to see the depth show with our entire lineup from top to bottom. Obviously, our first line is producing the majority of our offensive chances. That's how it should be. That's why they're the first line. But you're seeing the other lines help with offensive production, which is really big for the Colorado Avalanche. And despite the fact that last night's game ended the way that it did, Avs are still a wagon. They are still an electric team. And I think the Empty Netters podcast, they had this response to a tweet that I thought was pretty much encompassed everything that happened. Avs are still 100% a wagon, and Wedgwood still rocks. Wedgwood had a pretty good game. He had a lot of really strong saves. You're not going to have a 1-goal game against the team that you play every single night. Like, Wedgwood's going to let in more than 1 goal. It's just he's human. He's not just going to have an unreal season game after game after game after game. And he's still doing well, and he has very strong depth on his rosters to back it up. And as we know, we're going to have Blackwood coming back before we know it too, which is electric stuff for the Avs. And then just to round this conversation out as we look ahead to what's coming in the next few days and even the next few weeks here, Avs are still atop the Central Division with 12 points, a 5-0-2 record. They're still atop the Western Conference, tied up with the Vegas Golden Knights. And then they are still atop the entire league, right alongside the Vegas Golden Knights as well. The Knights and the Avs with the exact same 5-0-2 record, and they are off to a hot start. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the video. I wanted to bring it up again. A lot of people are probably going to combat all of this stuff that I'm doing and bringing up the fact that the Avs are leading their conference, their division, and their league. I heard a really strong take in the media the other day, also from the Empty Netters podcast. A lot of these trends don't change that drastically. You've got the Avs consistently now in the top of their conference, the top of their division, and the top of their league. I don't think that you're going to see the Avs drop all the way down to like middle of the pack in the league, middle to near the top of the pack in the conference. I think we're going to be consistently seeing the Avs ranking among the top 3 in the Western Conference and for sure in the Central Division. Obviously, standings are very fluctuating throughout the season. You might see some teams get on really random hot streaks and take people's spots out of the standings in the league, but these trends don't change very frequently, and I think it's going to be a consistent reality having the Avs in the top of the pack throughout the entirety of the season in both their division and their conference, and even in the NHL standings as a whole. Avs have the Carolina Hurricanes at home coming up here soon. They'll be debuting their brand new Quebec Nordiques jerseys that they're wearing this season. Really awesome sweaters that they put together. Very excited to see those out on the ice. So we'll see that coming up here soon. Carolina's going to be a tough game. They are among the top of the league as well. They've been playing really well, and they've got something really special with their new goalie who made his NHL debut this season. His last name is Bussy. I don't remember his first name, but he's been playing lights out, and they're probably going to continue to let him see a lot of games. And so it'll be a test for the Avs for sure. But I think it's going to be a game that they're fully capable of winning, and I'm really excited to see what they put out on the ice with all of this depth that we're talking about that makes them almost an unstoppable team. Thanks so much for tuning into Avalanche Digest. As usual, make sure you're subscribed. Leave a like and a comment. Let us know how you're feeling about the Avs and how you're feeling about the content that we're pumping out for you here on Avs Digest. We'll talk to you soon, but in the meantime, have a great rest of your day and go Avs.